Love, in its truest form, rarely begins with language. Words are often the last thing to arrive. Before confession, before definition, before promises, there is behavior, there is presence, there is a subtle but undeniable shift in energy. A man in love does not always announce himself with poetry. Instead, he reveals himself in the quiet consistency of his actions. When a man is in love, you will feel a steadiness around him. His attention becomes intentional. He listens not only to your stories, but to your silences. He notices the slight change in your tone, the way your eyes dim when you are tired, the subjects that make you come alive. Love sharpens perception. You are no longer background noise in his life. You become a living landscape. He studies with care. He begins to orient his world toward you, not in obsession, not in control, but in quiet integration. His plans start to include you naturally. The future, once a solitary path, becomes something he subconsciously reshapes with your presence in mind. He adjusts, he compromises, he considers, and he does this without fanfare because to him it feels instinctive, not heroic. A man in love becomes protective, not possessive, but protective. He is attentive to your safety, your comfort, your emotional well-being. If you are overwhelmed, he steadies the atmosphere. If you doubt yourself, his gaze carries reassurance. His body language shifts, he leans closer, turns toward you fully, creates space where you feel secure. The body often confesses what the mouth hesitates to say. Watch how he handles your vulnerability. When you reveal your fears or imperfections, does he withdraw or does he soften? A man in love does not exploit fragility, he honors it. He becomes more careful with you, not because you are weak, but because you are precious. His tone lowers, his patience expands, his ego quiets, and perhaps most telling of all, he chooses you repeatedly, even when you are not at your best, even when life becomes complicated. Love is not revealed in intensity alone, it is revealed in endurance. If he remains present during inconvenience, if he invests time without calculating return, if he supports your growth without feeling threatened by it, then his heart is already involved. Love, when genuine, is not loud. It is consistent, it is attentive, it is embodied. A man in love does not need to say it immediately. His eyes will linger, his actions will align, his energy will shift from self-centered desire to shared devotion. And if you pay attention, you will see that his silence is not emptiness. It is depth waiting for the right moment to speak. When a man is truly in love, his attention transforms. It is no longer scattered, restless, or casually given. It becomes intentional. You will notice it first in the way he looks at you. Not a fleeting glance, not a distracted nod while his mind is elsewhere, but a steady presence. His eyes do not merely see your appearance, they study your expressions, your reactions, the subtle shifts in your mood. He observes because he cares to understand, and understanding is one of the purest forms of devotion. Intentional attention means he listens beyond your words. When you speak, he is not waiting for his turn to respond. He is absorbing. He remembers the small details, your favorite song, the story about your childhood fear, the way you prefer your coffee, the dream you once mentioned quietly. These details matter to him because you matter to him. Love sharpens memory. It makes the ordinary sacred. You will feel it in conversation. He puts down distractions. His body turns toward you fully. His posture opens. Even in silence, he remains present. There is a difference between being physically near someone and being psychologically available. A man in love offers both. When you are excited, he shares your enthusiasm. When you are troubled, he senses it without being told. His awareness becomes tuned to your emotional frequency. This kind of attention is not control and it is not obsession. It is focused care. He does not monitor you to limit you. He notices you to support you. If you seem tired, he asks if you have rested. If you appear distant, he gently inquires instead of accusing. His curiosity is not interrogation, it is concern. Intentional attention also reveals itself in consistency. He does not disappear when life becomes busy. He makes time. Even brief moments are meaningful because they are fully given. You feel prioritized, not squeezed into the leftover corners of his schedule. His presence feels deliberate. Over time, this attention creates emotional safety. You feel seen, not just looked at, heard, not just answered, understood, not just tolerated. And when a man gives you that level of focus, calm, steady, unwavering, it is rarely accidental. It is the silent language of a heart that has chosen you long before it has found the courage to say the words. When a man is in love, the future stops being a solitary vision. Without dramatic declarations or carefully planned speeches, he begins to weave you into the fabric of his tomorrow. It happens subtly at first. He speaks of upcoming plans and instinctively uses the word we. He mentions events months away and assumes your presence beside him. There is no forced negotiation in it. It feels natural, almost unconscious, as though his mind has already made a decision his lips have yet to confirm. You will notice it in the way he organizes his life. Major decisions are no longer made in isolation. He considers how they might affect you, how they might align with your dreams, how they could create space for shared growth. If he contemplates a career move, a relocation, or a long-term goal, he seeks your perspective, not because he is dependent, but because your opinion now carries weight in his internal world. Love reshapes priorities quietly, and what once revolved solely around his ambitions begins to make room for shared vision. This inclusion is not about grand promises or extravagant commitments. It is found in small, consistent gestures. He invites you to meet the people who matter to him. He introduces you not as a temporary companion, but as someone significant. He makes plans ahead of time instead of waiting until the last minute. There is a steadiness in his approach, a sense that he is building something rather than merely enjoying a moment. You may also sense it in his willingness to compromise. He adjusts timelines. He balances his schedule. He thinks about holidays, celebrations, and milestones with you in mind. Even when challenges arise, he does not instinctively plan an escape route. Instead, he considers solutions that preserve the connection. His mindset shifts from my path to our path. Most importantly, natural inclusion feels calm. It is not possessive or rushed. He does not try to secure you through pressure. Instead, he acts as though your presence in his future is both desired and assumed. You feel less like an option and more like a direction. And when a man begins to construct his long-term vision with your place already built into it, his heart has moved beyond attraction. It has chosen partnership, even before it has spoken the word forever. When a man is in love, his presence carries a quiet strength that you can feel before you can define it. It is not loud, not territorial, not driven by ego. It is steady. Protective presence does not mean ownership, it means awareness. He becomes deeply conscious of your comfort, your safety, and your emotional state. Without announcing it, he positions himself in ways that shield rather than control. If you are walking through a crowded space, he naturally moves closer. If the atmosphere feels tense, his body subtly aligns between you and discomfort. These gestures are instinctive, not performed. You will notice it most in moments of vulnerability. When you are overwhelmed, he does not dismiss your feelings or attempt to dominate the situation. Instead, he stabilizes it. His voice lowers, his movements slow, his energy becomes grounding. There is something reassuring in the way he stands beside you, as though he is silently communicating, "You are not alone here." Love activates a protective instinct that is less about proving strength and more about offering security. Emotionally, this protection becomes even more profound. If someone disrespects you, he does not remain indifferent. He may not react with aggression, but he will not tolerate harm directed toward you. He defends your dignity in subtle but firm ways. He validates your feelings instead of minimizing them. When you doubt yourself, he reminds you of your worth through calm certainty rather than dramatic speeches. His protection is rooted in respect. Protective presence also appears in how he anticipates your needs. If you are cold, he notices before you speak. If you are exhausted, he adjusts plans without complaint. These actions are not about superiority, they are about care. He does not treat you as fragile, but he treats you as valuable. There is a difference. Most importantly, his protection never feels suffocating. You still feel free, independent, capable. His presence enhances your sense of safety without diminishing your strength. It is a quiet assurance that someone is paying attention, that someone is ready to support, that someone feels responsible not for controlling your life, but for contributing to your well-being. And when that steady, grounded energy consistently surrounds you, it often speaks louder than any confession ever could. When a man is truly in love, your vulnerability does not make him uncomfortable, it makes him attentive. There is a sacred shift that happens when you reveal your fears, your insecurities, the parts of yourself you do not show to the world. A man who is not emotionally invested may grow distant in those moments, unsure how to respond or unwilling to carry the weight of your truth. But a man in love leans closer. not physically alone, but emotionally. He senses that what you are offering is trust, and he handles it with care. You will notice it in his eyes and in his silence. He does not interrupt your confession with quick solutions or dismissive reassurance. He allows you to finish. He listens without judgment. When you speak about past wounds, mistakes, or hidden doubts, he does not weaponize them later in conflict. Instead, he protects them as something fragile and meaningful. Your openness becomes something he guards, not something he exploits. Respecting your vulnerability also means he adjusts his behavior once he understands your sensitivities. If he knows a certain topic triggers pain, he approaches it gently. If he realizes you struggle with self-worth, he becomes more intentional with his words. He does not mock what matters to you. He does not belittle your emotions. Even in disagreement, he remains mindful of the places where you are tender. There is patience in his love. Vulnerability often arrives messy, emotional, imperfect. You may cry unexpectedly or struggle to articulate what you feel. A man who respects you does not rush you to be composed. He does not demand that you be strong all the time. Instead, he creates space where you can be human. His presence feels steady while you unravel. He does not retreat when things become emotionally intense. Most importantly, he reciprocates. When he sees that you trust him with your inner world, he slowly opens his own. He does not hide behind pride or emotional walls forever. Love becomes mutual exposure, not one-sided confession. And in that exchange, you feel something rare, safety without shame. When your vulnerability is met with gentleness instead of fear, with protection instead of judgment, it is often the clearest silent evidence that his heart is deeply involved. Consistent effort is one of the quietest yet most powerful signs of love. Infatuation is often dramatic, filled with intense emotion and grand gestures that burn brightly and fade quickly. But when a man is truly in love, his actions become steady rather than sporadic. He does not appear only when it is convenient or when he feels inspired. He shows up repeatedly, in ordinary moments as much as extraordinary ones. There is a rhythm to his presence, a reliability that begins to feel safe. You will see it in the way he communicates. He does not disappear for days and return with excuses wrapped in charm. He maintains connection. Even during busy or stressful periods, he finds small ways to remind you that you matter. A simple message, a brief call, a thoughtful check-in, these are not random acts. They are reflections of priority. When someone values you deeply, consistency becomes natural because you are integrated into their daily awareness. Consistent effort also appears in how he handles challenges. When misunderstandings arise, he does not withdraw at the first sign of difficulty. He engages. He listens. He tries to resolve rather than escape. Love matures when it is tested, and a man who is invested does not treat conflict as a signal to leave. Instead, he treats it as something to work through. His commitment is not dependent on constant ease. There is also consistency in the small gestures. He remembers what makes you smile and repeats it. He keeps promises, even minor ones. If he says he will call, he calls. If he plans to see you, he follows through. These details may seem simple, but they reveal discipline of the heart. Effort is not always glamorous. Often it is quiet dedication. Most importantly, consistent effort removes confusion. You are not left guessing where you stand. His behavior aligns over time, creating a pattern you can trust. It is not perfection, but it is intention sustained. In a world where attention is easily distracted and emotions easily redirected, steady presence becomes rare. And when a man chooses again and again to invest time, energy, and care without being forced or reminded, his persistence speaks a language far stronger than temporary passion ever could. When a man is truly in love, there is a noticeable harmony between what he does and the energy he carries. His words, his behavior, and his emotional presence begin to align in a way that feels coherent rather than confusing. There is no sharp contrast between affection and indifference, no oscillation between intensity and withdrawal. Instead, you experience a steady current. What he says matches how he acts, and how he acts reflects how he feels. Alignment of actions and energy means that his body language supports his intentions. When he expresses care, his posture is open, his attention undivided, his tone sincere. He does not offer affection while simultaneously scanning the room for distraction. He does not make promises with enthusiasm and then neglect them in practice. His physical presence reinforces his emotional investment. You sense that he is fully there, not divided within himself. This alignment also shows in his priorities. If he claims that you matter, his schedule reflects it. If he speaks of commitment, his behavior demonstrates reliability. There is a quiet integrity in the way he moves. You are not left decoding mixed signals or interpreting contradictions. His energy feels grounded, calm, and deliberate. Even during uncertainty, his core treatment of you remains respectful and steady. When actions and energy are aligned, there is emotional transparency. You can feel his intentions without needing constant reassurance. His affection does not feel performative or strategically timed. It flows naturally from who he is becoming around you. Love changes a person subtly. It softens defenses, clarifies focus, and redirects attention. When that internal shift happens, it radiates outward through consistent behavior. Most importantly, alignment creates trust. Trust is not built from grand declarations alone, but from repeated congruence. When he comforts you, he truly wants to comfort you. When he makes space for you, it is because he values your presence, not because he fears losing you. There is no hidden agenda beneath his kindness. In the absence of alignment, confusion grows. But when his energy, words, and actions move in the same direction, you feel secure rather than uncertain. You sense that what you are experiencing is real. And when a man's inner world and outer behavior reflect the same devotion, his love becomes something you do not merely hear about, you consistently witness. And in the end, love is not proven by the volume of a confession, but by the quiet consistency of a presence. A man who is truly in love may hesitate to speak the words, but he will struggle to hide the evidence. It will be there in the way he looks at you when you are not watching, in the way he adjusts his world to make space for you, in the way he protects your softness without trying to control your strength. His attention will be intentional. His effort will be steady. His actions will align with the energy he carries. You will not feel confused for long, because genuine love does not thrive in chaos. It brings clarity. It replaces anxiety with reassurance, doubt with quiet knowing. When a man's heart is involved, you will sense stability rather than uncertainty. You will feel chosen, not chased, valued, not tolerated, safe, not questioned. So listen beyond the words, observe the patterns, trust what is consistent. Because when love is real, it does not need to shout to be understood. It reveals itself in presence, in patience, in protection, in unwavering alignment. And when you recognize that silent devotion, you will realize something powerful. The deepest love is not always the one that speaks first. It is the one that proves itself every single day.